Are you interested in knowing where to start when becoming an award-winning leader in your life? Or how do you make yourself indispensable in the mission you're currently striving to achieve in your current company? Well, Ambitious Vet, both these are answered and much more from multiple award-winning CEO, Marine Corps Recon veteran, and national security innovative leader, Chris Taylor. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
I think that if you think about how you get good at your craft, you have to be good at yourself first. And leadership is a craft, right? Leadership is not a billet. It's not anything. It's a way of life.
Spring is officially here. As we welcome sunny days and warmer temps, I'm finding myself in full swing spring cleaning mode. I'm not limiting my spring cleaning practice to only my physical space. No. I'm also taking this opportunity to clear out unnecessary clutter and distractions in my own head. Want to know my secret weapon for this, Ambitious Vet? Well, it's my Full Focus Planner. Save 10% with my link, plus get a free pack of Full Focus stickies when you select an annual subscription now. The link is fullfocusplanner.com/ambitious vet. It's trusted by leaders at Coca-Cola, Amazon, and Chick-fil-A. It also comes with a dummy proof for us crayon eater Marines like myself, with a podcast, quick tutorial guide, and FAQs, so we can't make the excuse to become more in our life. Go ahead and check out the link fullfocusplanner.com/ambitious vet.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We are right back inside the trenches today with Chris Taylor. Chris spent 14 years in the United States Marine Corps as an enlisted infantryman and Force Recon Marine. Now he's a global business leader, entrepreneur, and multiple-time award-winning CEO and adjunct associate professor of national security studies at Georgetown University. His most recent CEO role was with Gavani, a commercial data and analytics company focused on transforming the business of government through data science. He is the senior advisor to the managing director of the National Security Innovation Network at the Pentagon. And one other last quick cool story, Ambitious Vet, before we welcome Chris to the show, is he actually conceived of and convinced the White House and ABC Shark Tank to collaborate on the first all-veteran episode, which aired on Veterans Day 2014. Chris, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Chris. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Man, you have done some work in your lifetime, not bad, as a United States Marine Corps veteran. I mean, really, good job.
Thanks. I've had great opportunities and certainly lots of amazing mentors and bosses and friends along the way to make sure that I didn't fall on the scissors as often as I probably could have.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you kind of picked up on just becoming a lifelong learner from very beginning. So I acknowledge you for that. So Chris, we're excited. I mean, really the intention behind this show is for this ambitious vet that's listening to this right now to get the critical insights on how to look for opportunities, really to take responsibility in life, which, as I was saying just offline, you have been pretty much an expert at since getting out of the United States Marine Corps after 13 years. But let's go ahead and dive into that transition story, Chris. Like, you got out as an infantryman and Force Recon Marine after 13 years. Tell us that transition story.
Yeah, well, maybe it's good to start why I decided to get out. I was at the time an instructor at Amphib Recon School at Fort Story in Virginia, where we make Recon Marines. And I really wanted my boss's job. He was a major. And when you do the reverse math, I would have had to finish school, get a commission, wait about 11 years or so at the time to become a major, and then got that billet. And it seemed to me that there was a better way, or maybe a smoother and more advantageous path to make it to a place where I could take on more and more responsibility. So I made it was hard. I made the hard decision to leave the Marine Corps. I did finish my undergraduate degree at night, my last 3 years while I was on active duty, and then I left and I went to William and Mary, where I got my MBA. And I'll be honest, the transition for me wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. In many cases, a lot of fun, because really I was leaving and going to school, right? So, and I bartended to help pay for school. So I had a lot of fun. It was a good time.
Nice.
But I think one of the things that I learned was, man, being in the Marine Corps, in any of the services, but from my experience, the Marine Corps really prepares you for accepting a lot of responsibility. And I think compared to many of my civilian classmates, who were all wonderful, I had been given so many more opportunities to lead, to make mistakes, to rebound from those mistakes, et cetera. And I think those are very formative experiences. So it was just a very interesting transition, not hard, but very interesting for me to sort of see where I stood in the pack of all these very, very smart people.
Yeah. And what was that first role that you kind of found getting out of the Marine Corps? Because even inside of your 13 plus year Marine Corps career, I mean, you won multiple awards for stepping up, being responsible, meritorious awards, distinguished leadership graduate at Amphibious Reconnaissance School, class commander at Marine Corps Combative Diver Course. I mean, you really were a stud in the Marine Corps. And, for me, as a crayon eater, I didn't start stepping up and taking responsibility till like 2 years into the Marine Corps. So I kind of got that gene a little bit later, but, really dive in. How did you find that first role? And then how did you start building momentum? Because you've been a multiple time CEO of multiple companies. And I'd love to kind of just figure out how you identified that first opportunity.
Yeah. So, going into business school for my MBA was great. And I ended up being the president of the class. And I think what I learned there was, you never want to squander any opportunity that's presented to you where you can grow yourself and help elicit greatness from other people, right? Those, you never want to walk away from those opportunities. And so I got to spend some time, 2 years of business school, sort of experiencing, like, look, you're a Marine, I'm a Marine. If we weren't recording a podcast and we were having a discussion, we would speak in a very Marine Corps way.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so, but what going to business school did right after helped me understand was to learn new ways to project what I thought I knew about leadership and eliciting greatness from people, but not in a very Marine Corps way. That's not to denigrate our way. It's just, it's unfamiliar, right? To most people. So that was a great experience for me doing that. And then, when I left business school, I was actually hired by KPMG, Bearing Point, now KPMG, to be a consultant. But I graduated in May and they weren't going to bring me on until September. So during the summer, I was working at Blackwater as a VBSS, what we would call in the Marine Corps MIO, Maritime Interdiction Operation instructor.
Wow.
And it was great because this was just after the USS Cole was attacked in Aden Harbor in Yemen. The Navy had spent a lot of money and was driving all of their ships' crews through force protection training. So one of the courses was force protection fundamental tactics.
Wow.
And I taught during that. And so I got to do that for a while. And then And then I became the vice president for strategic initiatives for the rest of my time. And just like in the Marine Corps, there I was given responsibilities and put in positions that absolutely stretched me. So if you told me that I would have been meeting with kings and prime ministers and despots and people from all over the world, I would not have believed you. So I got a lot of real world experience. So in the Marine Corps, I got a bunch of real world experience, and after the Marine Corps, I got a lot more different type of real world experience. And then after having that experience, I said, man, I've got all of these things that have happened, but I don't really have lenses or structures to push them through so that I can get the best understanding from them. So I went back to grad school up at the Kennedy School at Harvard. And I was amongst everybody. You couldn't walk anywhere without meeting smart people everywhere. Very different views, very different thoughts on what was going on in the world and how it was happening. But it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and helped me elevate my ability to take the life experiences I've had and then push them into something that could make me better. Plus, I was there at a really good time because former Secretary of Defense Ash Carter was my advisor, and John White, who is former Deputy Secretary, who tragically has passed away, I had a class with him, and Sarah Sewell, who is a world-renowned human rights thinker, I had her for an American War and Ethics class. So I got exposed to really smart people who really pushed me hard to make more of and more sense of the experiences I had.
Wow. That's a really good way to put it. And Ambitious Vet, if you're listening to this, look for that challenge. But also, when you're looking for that challenge, put yourself in the right rooms for people like Chris did to find your potential and pull it out of you, challenge you, stretch you, right? If you're not uncomfortable out of the uniform, you're not growing, right? Same thing as when we were in your respected branches. If you were comfortable, something bad was going to happen. Someone was going to come up and NJP you or get you, be like, hey, you got to be PTing harder or something, right? So you've got to be constantly uncomfortable to be growing. That's what I heard from that, Chris. Is there anything you would add to that?
Yeah, look, I think comfort. Well, look, everybody has a different type of transition. Some are very linear, so that your discomfort and your ability to deal with it grows sort of in a straight line. Some of us experience, sine curves all over the place that, we threw ourselves in too deep of water and we needed some help to get out. But I think no matter what, the way to get the most out of your experience in the military is to test drive it everywhere you can when you get out of the military, right? Mm. And it has to start first with you. You're not testing other people first by any means. You need to be testing yourself. What do I really know? What do I really feel? And when you're sitting by yourself, in the dark and really doing some self-reflection and being completely honest with yourself, that's when you say, I could have handled this better. I should have known that it's the comfort of sending a message to someone the way that I want to send it is less important than framing it such that they can receive it in the way that I want them to receive it. Mm. All of those types of things. You should really be actively involved in your own growth and development. And it starts the moment that you get out.
Wow. I love that war cry right there. So yeah, I mean, you are 100% to me the responsibility guy. Once we first met and we connected for the pre-interview, I was just like, wow. Being a guy, a Marine, not just an average guy, but a Marine that got out and was responsible for a company going from 185 million to 800 million growth in just 3 years, I think it was. Being responsible for that, being responsible for 5+ boards that you are a part of, just being responsible for all the amazing work that you've been able to do in the national security sector. What is responsibility for you, Chris?
Well, look, I mean, I thank you for that's very kind of you to say, but I think I could also be a poster child for sometimes trying to take on too much responsibility. So that one of the lessons I've learned is confident, developed men and women who leave the military and want to jump into the civilian world do so with a lot of, as my mom would say, vim, vigor, and vitality. And it's very easy to take on too much, and you sort of have to learn. You have to learn for yourself where that line is, because anything below that line, it's learning, it's growth. You're establishing relationships, and you're doing great things. Once you start to get above that line, where it's just a little too much for you to handle, and you keep going, your performance starts to suffer. Your how you're viewed starts to suffer, and what's worse for me is I start to disappoint people, and so I never want to do that, right? I never want to disappoint someone that I've made a commitment to, right? So I think a lot of the responsibility has to be about a self-awareness about what you really can and cannot do. You don't. Nobody's Superman or Wonder Woman, right? There is what you can do and what you can do well and how you can contribute. And you have to be your own sort of life commander that says, I know how far I can go, I know what I can do, and I know what I can deliver. Above and beyond that, it's not great. And the reason I specify that is because being able to manage that properly leads to so many more opportunities to take on greater responsibility, have greater, I say authority, but really for me, it's a greater opportunity to elicit greatness from more people, because there is no, the theory of the great man theory is dead. If it's not clear to everybody that we do our best work in teams, and bringing people along and having them bring us along, it should be clear. So, and then, I think I shared with you a quick story. When I was in business school, and we were getting ready for a big presentation, and I had a colleague who was from, in my class, on the team. He was from another country. And what I asked him to do was, would you run across the street and sign out a slide projector? We were using a slide projector, overhead projector, sorry. And he kind of looked at me and said, Chris, I don't feel comfortable taking on the responsibility to sign for a piece of equipment. And I have to admit, my very first reaction was, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right.
I've signed for millions of dollars of equipment before. You've got to be kidding me. But I later that night, when I was thinking about what happened, I said to I thought through this, and I was like, I don't think the person's incapable of taking that responsibility. I don't think this person was ever given the opportunity to accept responsibility and had been made safe to accept responsibility, right? Like I said, I had a lot of great mentors and leaders in the Marine Corps and in business who would allow me to get punched in the face, but they wouldn't let me bleed to death. They wouldn't let me get knocked out, or they'd allow me to get cut, but I wouldn't bleed to death. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So I think there's an aspect of, you kind of want the ball with 3 seconds left, but in order to be able to consistently want the ball with 3 seconds left, you better have done some really successful things the last few times that you had the ball with 3 seconds left. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what I hear is like deliberate effort, right? Kobe Bryant, he had that slogan of waking up at 6 a.m. and shooting 1,000 shots before anybody's awake, right? So whenever he does have that ball with 3-4 seconds left, it's already repetitive, unconscious effort for him. The game slows down, and it's all that pre-work that he did over and over again versus just taking 10 shots, taking an hour break, going to take 10 shots and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, let me age myself. Larry Bird in French Lick, Indiana, would shoot a gajillion shots every day from every part of his of the court when he was a kid, and then obviously followed through in college and the pros to be probably the best pure shooter that the NBA has ever seen. People will argue with me and say Curry now or whatever, but
right.
I think that if you think about how you get good at your craft, you have to be good at yourself first. And leadership is a craft, right? Leadership is not a billet. It's not anything. It's a way of life. You actually don't have to have followers to be a leader. If you're living, let's just say that you lived JJ did tie buckle every day of your life, you're a leader. And then ultimately you will attract people who want to work with you. So, I mean, look, I keep coming back to self. I'm a big fan of Marcus Aurelius's meditations. I'm a really big fan of the work that's been done and it continues to be done in behavioral economics and cognitive biases. There is no meeting that I sit in where I don't recognize my own bias and how it influences the other people in the room, their biases. These are the things that matter, is understanding people in context of what you're trying to achieve. If you understand it, it allows you to take on more and more responsibility because you will have more and more success.
It's a very good way to put it. So the next thing is I want to break that down just a little bit more. As far as an ambitious vet that's listening to this is just like, yeah, I've got career stability, but I'd love to be known in the next 10 years as a multiple time award-winning CEO like Chris Taylor, right? How do we leverage, this concept or this philosophy that you're introducing to us right now to build our economical value in the marketplace? How do we quantify responsibility?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you got to be in it to win it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing. Nobody owes us anything. And I know that's, quite frankly, that's sometimes controversial in the veteran community. Some of us believe that, or some veterans believe that a lot is owed to them, and indeed, a lot is owed, but not everything. And it also doesn't mean that everything is going to come your way. So first, understanding what you can contribute and how you can grow that thing so that you can, I guess, monetize it so that you can make yourself more useful. And quite frankly, useful isn't good enough. How do you make yourself indispensable, right? That's what businesses are looking for. That's what all jobs are looking for, is where are the people that are indispensable to the mission, whether that's a profit mission or whether that's a national security mission. And it's interesting. My daughter, I have a 29-year-old and an almost 4-year-old. I was speaking to my 29-year-old. Yeah. Every 25 years, I try to help out the population. Yeah, no, it's good.
Good, Marie.
So my 29-year-old said to me, "Dad, you've had some amount of success. What was your plan?" And I kind of looked at her and giggled and said, "You've known me for 29 years now. What about me says there was a plan?" I think what you have to be willing to do is exploit the opportunities that come your way, and to some extent, accept the risk that comes with those various opportunities. Too much comfort will yield some comfort, but will also leave you with some yearning. And you have to understand how much risk you can accept to do better going forward. And I think you don't, I tell everybody, think bigger. No matter what response you give, think bigger. Not because you're going to do that bigger thing, but because it trains your mind to say, there's a bigger thing. Elon Musk, I mean, these are stories that everybody knows, but if he didn't land, if his fourth attempt at launching a rocket didn't work, he was out of money and he was gonna, it was over. He was sleeping on people's couches. And he's like the third richest dude in the world right now because he understood and believed with a passion and took a very detailed look at what he was trying to do and learned every lesson that you could learn to make the next effort better. And that's what we have to do with it. You never stop growing. You've never reached a plateau. I mean, you reach a plateau because you allow yourself to, but we don't stop learning. There is no, I made it. There's no such thing. Banish those phrases from your vocabulary. There is only, how can I do better? What more can I do? How do I grow more? That will take you to places that you never believed that you could ever go. I know that sounds kind of like self-helpish, and I don't really mean it that way. It's not quite that trite, but it, put some wood on it. Take a swing. That's what I'm saying. Have at it. If you're gonna talk all that smack, have at it and see what you can do.
I love that. I love it. It's funny because I was just talking to a United States Marine yesterday, a good buddy of mine that was one of the groomsmen at my wedding last year. And he's like been out for about 8 years now. Just is still like, to your point, to figure out what wood to put on there to chop at. And it always changes shapes, forms, and stuff like that, right? And I just kept telling him, I was just like, man, you can't be lazy with yourself because your landmines won't be. And his landmines have always been comparison theory, right? Just comparing himself to like the guys and gals that are right beside him that are perceived doing better than him. And he just goes down in this dark tunnel. And I'm just like, brother, sometimes the Marine Corps slogan of hurry up and wait, or slow is smooth, smooth is fast, that philosophy is true, because when you slow down and you do reflect at the end of the day, you can figure out what wood to put on there to start swinging at versus just waking up and being reactive, is what I'm hearing with what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. Look, you can never give yourself mentally, and when I say that, I mean, from a personal growth perspective, you can't cut yourself slack. Like when you do something that you shouldn't have done, you need to mentally mark that and say, yeah, that was bad. I shouldn't have done that thing.
Move.
And then by the same token, when you knock it out of the park, mark that. So one of the interesting things is that we tend to study failures, but we don't tend to study equally as rigorously our successes.
Oh, that's
and
so true.
I think we need to do both of those things. We need to make sure that we understand why we succeed. And I'll tell you why. Sometimes you succeed just because it was luck, just because a whole bunch of stuff happened that you didn't know was happening and you succeeded. But we have the tendency to say, well, that's because I'm fantastic. I am the man or the woman. And it may not be true. It could be that this particular thing happened because of luck. Yes, I know. Luck plus preparation equals preparedness. I got all the other sayings. But that luck piece you can't ignore, because if you ignore the luck piece, you are overconfident in your own personal ability, and you end up jumping off a cliff with no chute because you think you're going to be the first dude that flies. No, gravity works with all of us. You're not going to fly. I guess that's not true because they now have flying suits, but you understand the point. We need to really know who we are and where we are at all times. Situational, head on a swivel applies to the civilian world as well.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. So this whole show has been filled with golden grenades, wisdom bombs, learned lessons for how you've been able to become who you've become out of the United States Marine Corps. And I thank you for just not holding back, being authentic, being genuine, just who you are, Chris. But we want to wrap this up with one last golden grenade, one last wisdom bomb, and to this ambitious vet that's listening. So the ambitious vet that's listening right now is either a mid-level manager, a startup entrepreneur, or a side hustler that's been out for at least 3 years, knows what it takes to become career stable, but is just lacking something in life, Chris. So what would be that one last golden grenade that you would supply that ambitious vet? And then we'll let the ambitious vet know how to connect with you and learn more about all of your current initiatives.
Persistence, dogged, crazy ass persistence. There are a lot of smart people in the world. There are a lot of talented people in the world. They will never go as far as they can possibly go without developing a sense of persistence. And that is where other people say it can't happen, you know that it can. If you know in your heart that it can happen, get after it. And it may not be in the timeline that you thought it was going to be, or it may be way uglier than you thought it was going to be. But if it's something that's important to you, it has to be persistent. Do not give up. Never, as British Prime Minister from World War II. Why am I drawing a blank?
I don't know what that is, but we get it. We get it. British Prime Minister. What do you say?
Never, 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 never give up. That is the answer. And I want to be clear about what that means. There are times when we may choose to stop doing something because we've made an astute, experiential decision to go about doing something different in pursuit of a goal. That is perfectly okay. What I'm saying is, if you believe the goal can be achieved, and it is what is in your heart, then attack it from every vector you can. Go through it, go above it, dig under it, go around it, blow it up, polish it. Whatever needs to be done to get where you want to go, pack your ruck and head after it. And do not stop. And don't let, for God's sakes, you said this earlier in the show. I learned, thankfully, a long time ago. I care about what people who I'm very close to and who are very honest with me say about me. But this comparison with other people, it's useless. It drains your wasta. It takes too much away from you. Go be what you want to be. Go after it as hard as you can. And you're going to get there, right? You just are. Do not compare yourself to other people. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of mental resources.
It's great. Good stuff. So, Chris, where can an ambitious vet go and learn more about you and your current initiatives?
Well, if you're interested in how what we're doing at Georgetown University to help broaden the national security mission, you can go to georgetown.edu. If you want to learn more about the National Security Innovation Network at the Pentagon, which is doing tremendous work and sponsors the Hacking for Defense class, graduate class that's being taught across the country, you can go to November Sierra India November .uniform Sierra and learn all about that. We're doing some other things that we'll release publicly soon, but I would encourage people to spend some time every day if you can, but certainly a few times a week, reading something that you probably wouldn't otherwise read. I follow a blog called fs.blog. It's with Shane Parrish, who's a former Canadian intelligence officer, and he has done all of this work on decision making. Man, it's just amazing.
Wow.
So stuff like that. And then, of course, I would tell people, read How to Think Like a Roman Emperor or something like that, because meditation, the Stoicism philosophy, Marines will be very familiar with, because Chaos talked about it all the time. General Mattis, but it's something to read and something to try and integrate into your life.
Wow. Love all those resources. Ambitious Vet, all those links will be in the show notes below. Chris, thanks so much for joining us today at the show. It's been amazing.
Chris, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and love me some brother and sister veterans.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
If you're looking to achieve more while doing less, so you can finally focus on the work that actually moves the needle forward, check out my secret weapon that I use. It's the Full Focus Planner. It's at fullfocusplanner.com/ambitiousvet. Save 10% with my link, plus get a free pack of Full Focus stickies when you select an annual subscription, Ambitious Vet. Go and check out fullfocusplanner.com/ambitiousvet now.